I would like to start by showing my gratitude for the Spiritist Society of North Beach, who so generously is doing this fundraising for the Spiritist Medical Congress, which is about less than a month from now. So thank you so much, and thank you to all of you who came. People who I know came from the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, from Alacandac Spirit Society, and all of you who were here. I'm representing the U.S. Spiritist Medical Association, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the association at the end of the talk. Our aim today is to talk about mechanisms of disease and healing, which we'll tell in the first part. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanisms of how we get sick in the first place, and then how we can either prevent being sick, or once we get an illness, how we can help ourselves into recover. If I don't turn it on, it won't work. All right. Okay, so if we're talking about disease and health, we need to know what is health, what the word health means. And if we look at the Oxford American Dictionary, we find that the word health comes from German. The German, it's an old English word of Germanic origin, it's Hall, which means wholeness, which means soundness or spiritual wellness. The World Health Organization has a statement about health, defining health, and it says literally a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of infirmity, of disease. Now, with time, in the past, we kind of forgot about mental well-being. People in medicine were just taking care of the physical body. With time, we go back and pay attention to those words, to the real definition of health. And now we are coming out with integrative medicine. We went through a phase when there were the alternative medicine, when people used different methodologies to being treated, and that was either I go to the regular doctor, or I choose something else, and that was called alternative medicine because people would try to do either one or the other. With time, we started putting them together. You go to your physician, but you also do something else. So then we moved into complementary medicine, which was more appropriate, where we do both. And now even the medical schools in the US and all over the world are creating a new discipline called integrative medicine, when we actually join together what was previously used as alternative methodology and now together with the traditional medicine. So it's now called integrative medicine. It's a healing-oriented approach that takes account of body, mind, and spirit, including all aspects of lifestyle. So that's the definition of integrative medicine, which has been adopted by several medical schools. With time, researchers have found, looking how the disease develops, how a disease status develops. And we found out that all starts in the mind. And here we say mind is the functioning part of the brain. Brain is our physical brain. We can see, we can touch, right? But mind is what governs the brain. So the mind belongs to the spirit, as the brain, the physical brain, belongs to the body. But it's the mind that controls the brain and all the functions of our physical body. But the mind is in close association through the brain with the endocrine system, which controls our glands, secreting hormones that go through the whole body, through the circulation, which is also in close connection with the nervous system. Nervous system, everybody knows, right? Is what makes us move, make us feel, and there's a lot of the nervous system that make us active, which is also in connection with the immune system. And the immune system is not well known, so I'm going to talk a little bit more and show you what consists the immune system. So now researchers talk about a new science called psychoneuroimmunology, PNI, which puts all together and talks about the integration of these systems in the whole body. So how does the brain connect with the other systems? Here in this area, in the hypothalamus, there is a gland called pituitary gland. Okay? The pituitary, which is not the pineal gland. The pituitary gland is the gland that secretes very specific hormones, which then go and stimulate glands in the body. So the pituitary gland secretes several hormones. One of them is called ACTH, adrenocorticotrophic hormone, which acts in another gland called adrenal, which is right above our kidneys. Okay? So these glands then secrete several hormones, but one of them is called cortisol. And cortisol finally will act in several parts, several functions of the body, but specifically in the immune cells. And we're going to see what the immune cells are. The immune cells on their part will produce other substance called cytokines. And the cytokines will act in several cells throughout the body. They can do good, they can do bad. It all has to be balanced, like everything in our body, everything in our mind has to be balanced. So when these cytokines are secreted out of proportion, then we may induce disease. And these cytokines will also affect the brain function, which will then maintain the cycle. Okay. Now, here are the most important players in this system, cortisol and cytokines. And in this system here, I'm going to introduce another player in the immune system. So the brain secreting what we call neuroendocrine, through the neuroendocrine autonomic pathways, will stimulate the bone marrow where the immune cells are produced. Not only there, but they are produced also in the thymus and in other parts, but especially in the thymus, spleen that we're going to see later, and in the bone marrow. So these places will produce cells which here are named as T cell, macrophage. We're going to see some of these names which you don't have to know, but just know the function. And these cells will produce then the lymphokines, cytokines, which are represented here, and then act again in the brain. From these cytokines, interleukin-6 is just to tell you one name, okay? But this is a paper that published now, 2012, where puts this cytokine as a very important player in disease. So we are seeing that all these issues are still being studied. So we have research coming now, still, trying to clear more of the mechanisms of disease. Here is a little more complete picture of the immune system, which is not represented by a single organ, but by several places that produce those cells that we just saw a little bit ago. So thymus, which is an organ right here behind the trachea, the bone marrow, so all the long bones, you know, the marrow produces these cells. the spleen here, and all